James Franklin was fired from Penn State after 3 straight losses, 1 Big Ten title, and a 104-45 overall record. Sister Jean collected more years in her life than Franklin did wins at Penn State. She was 106 years old. The corpse of Sister Jean might be a better coach than James Franklin, and she played sports when women couldn't dribble in basketball. Rip to Sister Jean. We have the conclusion of the division series and the start of the championship series in MLB playoffs, the firing of Franklin, and some chaos in Week 6 of the NFL. This is number 176 of Hoagies and Pierogis, and we are going to fly through this one like Tez Johnson after catching a touchdown pass. Recorded in central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis. Alright, well, surprise, little note here before we start anything. I actually did watch the Penguins beat the Rangers 3-0 on opening night of the NHL and had a great time doing so, but I have not watched a game since, so it's been about a week. And we're moving on to MLB, but we may as well stick in Pittsburgh. Paul Skeens pulled if I win the lottery, I won't tell anyone, but there will be signs move, and got a hot dog roller for his house. That is such a baller move. Pay the man whatever he wants. He'll spend the money well. All right, wrapping up the division series, Dodgers and Phillies. I said last week I didn't have much hope, but Aaron Nola was kind of dealing. Unfortunately, he got pulled after 3 innings for Ranger Suarez, who immediately gave up a home run. What an odd choice. Luckily for the Phillies, though, Schwarber hit a mammoth home run that went 455 feet and 117 miles an hour off the bat. The Phillies scored 2 more runs in the 4th and then gave Kershaw a nice goodbye as they put up 5 runs on him in the 8th inning and won 8-2 in Game 3. But it was all for nothing because in Game 4, Ryan Kierkering single-handedly sent the Phillies home. He had plenty time to collect himself before throwing to first, but he decided to go for the force out at home plate instead, and it was an erratic throw that went 5 feet to the right. And, he was clearly freaking out and could not think clearly enough to just throw it to first, and the game would have gone to inning number 12. Now, I understand that when I say that it was all on him, it's not. It absolutely isn't because they were in the 12th inning. The Phillies offense couldn't do shit. Sorry, Phillies. The Dodgers won 2-1 in 11 innings and will play the winner of the Cubs and the Brewers at that point. So for the rest of this Cubs and Brewers series, Priester was on the losing end of the former Pirates matchup against Taillon in Game 3, and he didn't even make it out of the first inning, allowing 3 runs to come across the plate. The Brewers almost made a comeback, but sports used all of its comebacks last week, and the Cubs won 4-3. And like I said last episode, broke their 13-game streak of 3 runs or less in the playoffs. For Game 4, why in the fuck did this game start at 9 o'clock? It didn't matter, though. I didn't watch any of it. But the Cubs won 6-0, leading the whole way from the 1st to the 9th inning to force Game 5. And in Game 5, they decided to start Drew Pomeranz, who has been out of baseball since like 2021 or 2022. Why was he starting the game? He's like... I don't know how old he is, but I thought he was like 50 years old. It didn't really matter, though, because he didn't give up a run. But then the next person that the Cubs brought in did give up some runs, and the Brewers ended up winning Game 5 behind a great 4 innings of relief from Jacob Misiorowski, where he hit 104 miles an hour multiple times, and the Brewers bullpen outlasted the Cubs bullpen, winning 3-1, and they'll face the Dodgers in the NLCS. On the AL side of things, we'll start with the Yankees and Blue Jays. Cam Schlitter couldn't replicate his performance that he had against the Red Sox, but he still did pretty well. The Blue Jays took the lead on a huge Jazz Chisholm error that made it 2-1. The same inning, the Blue Jays went up 4-1. The Yankees, though, tried their damnedest to win this game and got 2 men on in the 7th and loaded the bases in the 8th, but no one came around to score. Hoffman allowed an RBI double to Judge, but still got the last 4 outs, and the Blue Jays are going up against the Tigers and Mariners in the ALCS with a 5-2 win in Game 4. And we still have that Game 5 to go over here. Oh my God, this one was a marathon. But why in the hell was George Kirby taken out of the game after the 5th inning? Let your starters pitch if they're doing well. He threw 66 pitches. What in the absolute fuck is wrong with the Mariners manager? I was pissed for Mariners fans. That was atrocious. And Gabe Spears, who has been terrible in this whole series, came in and gave up a 2-run homer. The more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. More so than the Phillies game, because at least you put the game in the hands of your players rather than overthinking and pulling your starter way too early for no reason. Kerry Carpenter was up to bat, and that's the reason they took Kirby out. He was 2 for 2 at that point, but just intentionally walk him if you're so worried about Kirby facing him. I'm not a fan of the Mariners or Phillies. Dumb managerial decisions just piss me off more than a player error in a high leverage situation. The Mariners managed to tie it up at 2, and they were on to extra innings, and god damn it, that was a lot of extra innings. But Bizzardo, damn, that was insane. I have never heard of Bizzardo before this, and he only throws like 94 miles an hour, but he got out of the jam in the 12th and then struck out the side in the 13th inning. And why was he taken out of the game with 1 out to go in the 14th? Are you serious? First Kirby, now Bizzardo after Bizzardo got a strikeout? Castillo came into the game and got a pop-out to end it, so it didn't really matter, but it was just a confusing move. Jorge Polanco, the hero of the series, walked it off with a single in the 15th, and the Mariners will now face the Blue Jays in the ALCS. It was funny, after the game, the Tigers radio broadcast announcer got caught on a hot mic saying,
Dan and I will be back to talk about it after this on the Detroit Tigers radio network.
And fragile.
I don't have to do a game. Oh,
He's flawed. We get tired.
fuck this game recap. Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
sometimes
Was that out
you get
loud?
sick.
3, 2, 1.
So yes, in the AL Championship Series, we got the Mariners going up against the Blue Jays. And in Game 1, a fan wore a shirt with a butt plug and Cal Rayleigh's number on it right behind home plate. The stadium staff had to tell him to wear a sweatshirt over it, but he took it off for Rayleigh's at-bats. It ended up being bad karma, though, because the butt plug didn't work and Rayleigh hit a home run, and Polanco drove in 2 more runs, and the Mariners won Game 1 3-1. In Game 2, all I have to say is, wow. Julio Rodriguez hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, and him heating up is terrible for the Blue Jays, who already have to deal with a hot Polanco, and Cal Rayleigh seems to be settling in as well. The Blue Jays tied it at 3 in the second inning, but Jorge Polanco, again, they had to deal with him, hit a 3-run homer in the 5th inning, and they didn't look back. They won Game 2 10-3. Game 3 is tonight on Wednesday, so this is where we'll pick up next week. For the NLCS, it's the Dodgers and the Brewers to start it out, and Blake Snell pitched a gem, going 8 innings with 1 hit, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. It's the farthest Snell has gone in a game without allowing a walk, and it's the first time he's finished 6 innings in a playoff game in his career. That was his 13th playoff start. The Dodgers won 2-1 after a little scare in the 9th inning there. They actually had to take Sasaki out and put Trinan in to get the save. But then Game 2 was another pitching gem from the Dodgers. Yamamoto went 9 innings, allowing only 3 hits and 1 run on 111 pitches and added on 7 strikeouts to that. He's the first to throw a complete game of the playoffs since Justin Verlander did it for Houston on the same day in 2017, October 14th. The Dodgers won 5-1. And 28 road teams have taken a 2-0 lead in MLB playoff history, or in the championship series, and those teams are 25-3. We'll see if the Mariners and Dodgers can come out on the right side of history from their perspective, and if the Blue Jays or Brewers can pull off a miracle and add their opponents to that loss column. We already have word that Tyler Glasnow is starting Game 3, and then Ohtani's going to be starting Game 4 for the Dodgers. So both of the road teams have a 2-0 lead in the first 2 games in those series. The Mariners are looking extremely good, and that should be a really good matchup against the Dodgers, who, I mean, they didn't even have to use their bullpen basically last night. That was insane. Yamamoto, all 9 innings. Complete game in the playoffs. Way to ball out. All right. Let's move on to college football. Holy fucking shit. They did it. PSU fired James Franklin. They now have 99 problems and 49 million more with his $49 million buyout. Penn State lost to Northwestern 22-21 to move to 3-3 on the all-in year. This is the second largest buyout in college football history to Jimbo Fisher's $76 million buyout from Texas A&M a couple years ago. The AD, Pat Kraft, said that this wasn't solely based off the past 3 games and that it's been building for a little bit. It sounds like everything Franklin did compounded in Kraft's head, and I completely agree with that. Allard being out the rest of the year after he dislocated and fractured his ankle didn't help either. If there was a way to quantify slow starts, I bet you PSU would be one of the worst in the country at getting downfield on their first 2 or 3 possessions and scoring. Just week in and week out, they would struggle to get anything going in the entire first quarter, no matter who they were playing. This problem has been persistent for damn near as long as Franklin has been head coach, and they never fixed it. It was particularly bad in the first 3 games this year before Oregon. They always play down to the level of their opponent. And I do think that Kotelnicki is to blame for some of this, like last year and this year. But Franklin really just stood there on the sideline. I'm sure that he does some type of X's and O's coaching, but he sure appears to do a whole lot of nothing. Oh, so, where will they go now? I think Matt Rule is probably the obvious choice here. If he resigns before January 1st, either he or the team that hires him owes Nebraska $5 million, and that's it. It's his alma mater where he played linebacker under Paterno, and he is really good friends with Pat Kraft. But Kraft said that he was going to shoot his shot and is going to ask Marcus Freeman if he wants to get the job, which would be absolutely insane. But Cignetti and Rule being on that short list does sound kind of promising. Joe Klatt, someone that talks about Penn State a lot, suggested Brian Hartline, the wide receiver coach from Ohio State. I do like that pick, but I'm not sure PSU fans would be willing to pay big money for an OSU coach after bringing over Jim Knowles and seeing what has transpired this year so far. It is still extremely early, so in the meantime, Terry Smith will be taking over as interim. And I guess he's been with the program a while, and a lot of true fans that know what's going on say that this is the obvious choice for right now. But yeah, let's go down the line here. I would like Cignetti as head coach because they just beat Oregon 30-20. Oregon didn't have any answers for Indiana in the second half whatsoever. Ohio State beat Illinois. That was a given. Ole Miss just squeezed past Washington State. I just saw that 24-21. Texas A&M took care of business against Florida, so it is just Texas that sucks. But Texas did beat Oklahoma 23-6. John Mateer was rushed back way too fast. He couldn't do anything. Alabama at Missouri. This was a very close game. But it shouldn't have been. Why couldn't Missouri do what they did on the first drive the rest of the game? That first drive was perfect. Textbook perfect. And they couldn't move the ball for shit at all the rest of the game. Prabula actually did his best impression of Aller on the last drive and threw a pick to end it. Alabama won 27-24. Texas Tech crushed Kansas. Georgia beat Auburn, and I don't know if they should have. There was a view of the touchdown that Auburn should have had that was directly down the line, and he obviously crossed the goal line with the ball still in his bottom hand. Yeah, the ball was getting knocked loose, but he still had control of it when the tip of it crossed the goal line. That was inexcusable. It should have been 17-0 at that point. And Auburn should have been, I don't know, they should have been in control the whole game. That is absolutely what turned the tide of the whole thing. Momentum was in Georgia's favor, the rest of it. LSU had an ugly win against South Carolina, 20-10. Tennessee beat Arkansas 34-31. That was a close game. USC did beat Michigan 31-13. There's an upset there. I think USC was actually favored to win the game. Notre Dame beat NC State. BYU keeps winning and beat Arizona. Colorado beat Iowa State. And, Florida State lost to Pittsburgh. I could not believe this one. 34-31 was the final score, and Pitt put up 13 points in the fourth quarter to beat them. This Mason Henschel kid, really good. 21 for 29, 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, which I actually just saw, so maybe he isn't that good. But he came through and got the win for Pitt. That's a good ACC win. Let's go over the Week 8 rankings. Obviously, Ohio State and Miami State put an Indiana takes Oregon place at number 3. They move up 4 spots. Texas A&M up 1, Ole Miss down 1 after just squeaking by Washington State. Oregon is down to number 8, Georgia 9, LSU 10. I still don't believe in LSU that much. I mean, that was an ugly win. And Notre Dame is all the way back up to number 13. They're the highest ranked 2-loss team. They're going to sneak into the playoffs, aren't they, if they win out? That's crazy. Mizzou down to 16. Oklahoma down to 14 after that Texas loss. And Texas is actually ranked again this week at number 21. South Florida up 5. Virginia up 1. Vanderbilt up 3. Nebraska there at number 25. Matt Rule has them ranked. That's more than James Franklin can say about Penn State. But all right, let's see what games we got for next week. Louisville at Miami might be an entertaining game. I might have to watch that. And we got LSU at Vanderbilt. I just said LSU might be a little bit suspect. I don't trust them that much. I think they might lose at Vanderbilt. There's a huge possibility. Georgia Tech, Duke, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Ole Miss at Georgia. Oh, big one. After that game against Washington State, might be leaning Georgia a little bit. But Georgia also played Auburn kind of bad, so I don't know. That's going to be a rough one. Tennessee at Alabama. Classic. Oh, that's going to be good. Then we got USC at Notre Dame. Oh, if Notre Dame can beat them, they're looking at a playoff spot if they win out. I think so. And then Missouri's playing Auburn. Utah at BYU. What is this one? Like the Holy War, they call it, or whatever. It's some ridiculous name for a football game. Like, it doesn't need to be that crazy or that extreme. But next week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 big ranked matchups. Oh, that's going to be good. It is going to be a great week next week. All right, on to the NFL. Eagles at the Giants. Oh, okay. Then what was that against the Saints last week, Giants? Scotabo had 98 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's the first Giant running back since Ahmad Bradshaw in 2011 to have 3 touchdowns in a game. And that was bad for on Thursday for Philadelphia sports fans. The Flyers, the Phillies, and the Eagles all lost on the same night. Jackson Dart is the first rookie to beat the Eagles in 75 years. The last being Travis Tidwell in Week 11 of 1950. And the Eagles are reeling. Saquon on to 58 yards rushing, and that puts him at 325 on the year through 6 games. They need to figure something out, and bad. All right, Broncos at the Jets. Third morning game in as many weeks, and I love it. Love waking up to a football game. But both of these offenses were terrible, and the Jets actually took the lead at one point with 3 field goals and a safety because of a hole in the end zone from the Broncos. The Broncos defense had 9 sacks, including 1 to close out the game, and the Jets had negative 10 net passing yards. The worst game in Jets history and the worst game passing in 27 years. That's why I'm so shocked the Jets led at one point, because, negative 10 net passing yards. What is this, 1926? We'll get to 1926. Oh, the Broncos won that game 13-11. All right, Patriots and Saints. Don't have many notes from this week, but the all-whites are clean, and fuck whatever refs were running this game. I don't know what they were doing when they called pass interference on Diggs. May was clearly out of the pocket and scrambling, and Diggs didn't even engage with the defender past 5 yards. It was so stupid. Touchdown was called back for, it would have been Pop's second touchdown of the day. But ball don't lie. Booty got a touchdown later on that drive. And again, the refs were awful. Booty scored a touchdown, and everyone thought that it was first and goal from the 1 yard line because everyone thought that he was down because the refs were so confusing the whole game. But nope, there's double Booty. He caught all 5 of his targets for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Drake May was 18 for 26 with 261 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he is elite. He is the GOAT. The offense is clicking. The defense is doing pretty well. I love to see it. That's 5 straight games of a 100-plus passer rating, and he's the first quarterback to do it since Mahomes, and he's like one of the only quarterbacks to do it, joining Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson. Come on, that's elite territory. Patriots won 25-19. All right, Seahawks at Jaguars. We've been waiting for it all season up to this point. BTJ, first reception touchdown on the year. Let's go. But the Seahawks were looking very good. Sam Darnold, Just keeping it up his performance from Minnesota last year. And they kind of quieted a hot Jaguars defense. The Seahawks won 20-12. All right, the Chargers at the Dolphins. Yep, now it's confirmed. The Giants did break the Chargers, at least for the first half. They were lucky enough that Dicker the kicker came through and was able to hit the game-winning field goal, 29-27. Man, I'm just sitting here waiting for the McDaniels firing. I cannot believe Franklin was fired before McDaniels was. For the Rams and Ravens, this game was actually competitive. I couldn't believe it. That is, until the second half happened. Never mind. Zay Flowers fumbled the ball twice, and the Rams beat the Ravens 17-6. An ugly game. All right, Browns at Steelers. No one picked Chris Boswell back up after the Steelers bye week, and he had 13 points at halftime for me. He will not leave my roster the rest of the year, and he should have had almost 20 if he would have made that field goal and not slipped on the shitty Acrisure Stadium field. It's because they changed the name. That's karma. But the Rodgers DK Metcalf connection was cooking all day, and I hope they continue more of the same on Thursday against the Bengals because I had to pick up Aaron Rodgers since I traded Caleb Williams for Michael Carter, which may have been very stupid, but we'll see this week. The Steelers have now won 22 straight regular season games against the Browns at Heinz Field, and 2003 was the last time the Browns won in Pittsburgh. Steelers won 23-9. Cardinals and Colts. The Cardinals almost pulled off the upset with Brissett at quarterback, but the Colts held on to move to 5-1. Jervarius Ward got a concussion pregame, and Anthony Richardson somehow fractured his orbital bone, both during pregame warmups. The tweet from Schefter said that AR was hurt during band warmups. So this makes me picture the two of them throwing batons at each other as hard as they can and both hitting each other in the face. Colts won 31-27. All right, for the Cowboys and Panthers, the Panthers were showing life. No way, I couldn't believe it, against the Cowboys. And Rico Dowdle really did seem extra motivated, just like his tweet before the game indicated. The Panthers walked it off, and Dowdle got his revenge. I'm so pissed I didn't pick him up the second Hubbard was out. He was available. This is his second 30-point game in a row. All right, Titans-Raiders. The Titans' lone touchdown came in garbage time as the Raiders dominated on defense, and Ashton Jeanty is back and starting to look more comfortable out there after he adopted the Michael Myers stance. The shocking thing was that this game was the one that got Brian Callahan fired. After only 23 games, he went 4-19 overall in his tenure. Holy shit, that was actually shocking. The Titans have now fired GM John Robinson in December 2022, hired GM Ron Carthen in January 23. They fired Vrabel and hired Callahan in January 24, fired GM Rand Carthen and hired GM Mike Ragonzi in January 25, and have now fired head coach Callahan in October 2025. Someone made a good point on Twitter that the A.J. Brown trade happened in April 2022, so that was the Franz Ferdinand event that kind of set things into motion for the dismantling of the Titans. Raiders won 20-10. 49ers at the Buccaneers. This is a huge loss for me in the most critical stretch in fantasy football that I have coming up. Igbuka has a hamstring injury and will likely miss I'm guessing at least 3 weeks. That fucking blows for me because I'm going up against a hot team in fantasy that's been doing pretty well the past couple weeks. The highest scorer the next week, and then the second highest scorer the week after that. So I'm fucked. I'm going to come out of the stretch 5-4. I know it. It's going to be bad. But if Baker wins without Evans, Godwin, and Igbuka, he absolutely is the front runner for MVP. He puts the team on his back week in and week out. And there's actually even more injury news for the 49ers. They can't catch a break. Fred Warner dislocated and fractured his ankle, same as Drew Allard, and he's going to be out the rest of the season. The Buccaneers beat the 49ers 30-19 to move to 5-1. Unfortunately, in the Bengals-Packers game, Flacco was not able to beat the Packers twice in the season with a different team. Only if he maybe had like a little bit more time to prepare, he would have done a little bit better. But that Jamar Chase catch for the touchdown was insane. The Packers won 27-18. All right, Sunday Night Football, Lions at Chiefs. This one got me to delete FanDuel. That was a little bit absurd. Gibbs did nothing and had a season-low 7 points. Oh, God. But, yeah, I put $300 straight up on the Lions. So, yeah, goodbye, FanDuel. Not betting on you for a little bit. That just has to happen. It's got to go. Got to be off my phone. I can't be trusted. After the game, Juju taunted Brian Branch into hitting him in the helmet after the game was over, and Branch got mobbed by the Chiefs. I thought it was funny that he hit Juju, but Branch complaining about being bullied really made him seem like a bitch. Branch was suspended 1 game for it, and they're playing the Bucs next week. Seems like they need him in that game, and he'll be unavailable. The Chiefs beat the Lions 30-17. It was never close. All right, Monday Night Football, and this might be a bigger surprise than James Franklin being fired. The Patriots lead the AFC East after the Bills lost to the Falcons. What was that game from the Bills? That was bad, guys. That was like an abysmal game. Holy shit. The Falcons beat the Bills 24-14, and Drake London and Bijan Robinson went off. They both had over 30 points each. Oh, and that was a horrible performance from Dan Orlovsky in the booth. He is the anti-Romo because anytime he would predict something, it never went how he expected. Okay, Commanders-Bears was the last game on Monday night, and the Bears are the second team to win in consecutive weeks by 1 point with the same final score. The first team that did it was the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets in 1926. I told you we'd circle back around to 1926. Oddly enough, the Bears were involved in that piece of history as well because the Yellow Jackets beat the Detroit Panthers and the Chicago Bears 7-6 in back-to-back games. I don't think the forward pass was invented yet, so I think there needs to be a distinction. Just like how 1897 to 1901 is the cutoff for most baseball statistics because the game was just way too different before then. I think we can exclude 1926 from the NFL record books. I think people would be fine with that. The Bears won 25-24 again, and my one buddy actually needed a big game from Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz delivered. My buddy was down 128.95 to 145 flat. Ertz got 6 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown, and that's good for 16.3 points. And if you add that to 128.95, you end up with 145.25. He won by 0.25 points, which is absolutely the closest game this year in our league. If Ertz would have gotten 3 less yards, he would have lost. Wow. Talking about a game of inches. All right, for week 7, like I said, the Steelers are playing the Bengals on Thursday night football. Patriots get to play the Titans. Oh, let's go. I don't know. Would you rather take a team on the last week of their head coach or the first week after their head coach got fired? I don't know. I'm not sure which team you would rather face. But I don't know if there's going to be any new life at all for the new coach. But, yeah, Patriots are going to win by far. They're already a 7.5 point favorite. I'm surprised it's not more. Rams at the Jaguars. The Rams are going to be without Puka, I think, in this game. Apparently he's day-to-day, and he missed a serious ankle injury, so that's good for him. Saints at Bears, Dolphins at Browns, Raiders, Chiefs. Eagles, Vikings might be a good game. Vikings had a bye week last week. Panthers, Jets. Oh, man. Panthers are 3-3. I thought they had a worse record than that. Giants, Broncos. Broncos defense got to come through again. Colts, Chargers might be a good game. It would have been better earlier in the season. Commanders, Cowboys. Packers, Cardinals. Falcons, 49ers is the Sunday night game. And then we have another Monday night doubleheader. What the fuck is this? The Buccaneers play the Lions at 7 o'clock. And then this is the real piss off. The Texans play the Seahawks at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. God damn. The Bills and Ravens are off this week. Oh, and Trey Hendrickson is questionable for Thursday Night Football. Let's go. Aaron Rodgers is going to feast. Alrighty, I think that's it for sports. But side note, Ghost of Yote isn't crashing anymore. Let's go. But now I don't know if it's from the update or from laying my console down on its side. I'm so glad it's not crashing because that saved me from buying a new PS5, which would have been like $700. The OG StockX PS5 lives to see another day. Let's go. Alrighty, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and comment on each video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram for clips throughout the week and updates if needed. And we'll leave you with this. Thank you very much. Recorded in Central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host, Ian DiCarlo. This is Hoagies and Pierogis.